What is going on, guys? We are back with another one. We have a lot to go over. We're going to unpack it all in a relatively short amount of time, so make sure you stay with us. We're going to go over the S&P 500 and all of its glory. We're going to talk about the VIX Volatility Index, showing just how delicious this overall market is looking, and then a few other things. Just stick around, and we are going to get it, baby. All right, guys, we are in the Discord meeting. We were just talking, we were just chatting in the background. If you guys have anything that you want to say, please bring it up. And if you guys want to be a part of this Discord, just click the more section down on this YouTube video. You'll see a link tree. You can be a part of our Discord as long as you have an open mind and a heart of gold. Our community will be more than happy to accept you willingly. We got Beat Stewie, Dan, Bob, Erica, Jimmy, Stackalope, Wood, Da, and Zamora in the Discord meeting tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We got a lot to unpack. I really want to tell you guys, the S&P 500, this is what I use. Now things are going a little crazy. We're going to look at the overall indices to see which indice is leading. I usually use the S&P 500 unless something really starts pulling away. So the S&P 500 here, what more could we ask for? After we pushed up here and we got so extended from that 10-day moving average, I kept saying the best case scenario, if we don't head higher, is some sideways action. We are finally getting that sideways action. And I got to tell you guys, let me just blow this up on the daily. This is really, really good. Now, not to say we can't pull back, not to say, you know, we can't, we have plenty of room, but when we get up into a psychological area of 600 and we don't just reverse course, we hold off and we keep getting bought up and pull back and bought up a new higher low on the daily, that's a really good sign. It's a really, really good sign. Now, I always say it pays to be positive. Well, this market is showing you that if you have been risk on since the break, since that next gap up, that next morning, that humongous gap up on volume due to the presidential election, you can see right here we were risk on. Of course, I wanted to be risk on right here, but it's hard to get risk on when that happens at the end of the day, okay? And so blink of an eye the next morning, this is as soon as I could get in to this. But look at that. We're risk on. It's taken off. As long as the 21-day moving average can get above this entry area, we're going to be better than break even on the long-term account. And when it comes to the overall S&P 500 stage analysis, we know that we are still in a confirmed stage 2 uptrend in the overall S&P 500. It's very clear as day, and that means we are risk on in our more speculative, fast-moving stocks. Okay, so now that we have that set aside, we understand where the overall market's at. We understand that the overall sentiment is good. We are running into a psychological $600 area, and we are not just treading back. We are not just running away with our tail in between our legs. We are holding out. Things are looking good. And you're going to start hearing a lot of people get really, really negative. You're going to hear a lot of people start to get really bearish here. And every small pullback we get, you're going to see them cheering it on. This is just what happens, guys. People hate this bull market. They have hated it for a long time. When they are going to start enjoying it, I don't know. But we were even talking about this whole thing. I was putting out videos. This is the most hated bull run ever in the history of markets, right? Like, nobody likes this bull run. Why? I don't know, but it pays to be positive. We've been making money this whole time, so let's keep up the good work. Does anybody want to bring up anything about the S&P 500? Have any questions? Want to say anything about the S&P 500? Bring it up now or forever hold your peace. Well, then the next thing that we're going to talk about, guys, because we're going to run through them all, but the main focus here is the IWM, because we're going to bring up the IWM a little later, because I have found an interesting retest, multiple retests here on the IWM, But I do want to point out, see this white line here? We can point out that one and this all-time high line right here. You can see it's standing right in between all of this. So IWM is very, very close to being at all-time highs. And I've been talking about IWM since back here, since this breakout right here. We talked about this and it really gapped up. It really started going. This one actually surprised me. I mean, most of it did because of the gap up overnight. But now it broke through its major resistance and it's kind of treading in between all-time highs and major resistance. If this thing wants to go, I really think a lot of investors have not really got their fill on this. This is a huge lagger. If the overall market continues to head higher and IWM is nearing all-time highs, this might have a huge potential to lift off here, meaning all your small cap stocks, you're going to see a lot of gappers, a lot of things running. You're going to see an easy money market, guys. That's what we're hoping for here, an easy money market where they're lowering interest rates. It's easier for people to borrow. We're starting to build. We're starting to create more jobs. We're starting to yada, yada, yada. Long story short, we want to see that golden economy. We want to see all of that. And you know, I'm always rooting for it. Of course, I'm not naive to think that something bad could happen. Of course, that's why we have our stops in place. But right now, keep your eye out. S&P 500's killing it. IWM's killing it, okay? And we aren't going to go too far into that. I do like to look at the stock heat map, though. Obviously, guys, today, Amazon really kicked some ass. Microsoft took a nice little edge there. Google pulled back. NVIDIA pulled back a little bit, and Apple's about flat. So when we look at these numbers, you can see, you know, after such a huge push up on some of these things, we're finally starting to get a little bit of a pullback or some sideways action, but we're going to see where these end up. Things are looking good right now in the overall market. Okay. Let's see here. What else I want to bring up? Let's go through. So the QQQs are looking like the S&P 500, so we're not going to go. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is Bitcoin, all right? Bitcoin, absolutely beautiful. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin. If you weren't getting in on this breakout or played this pullback and retest, which we'll talk about very soon, if you didn't play this, if you didn't believe in it then, for you to get in now, it is a little concerning. So you need to understand the psychology behind this, okay? This is when the smart money is selling some of their reserves, okay? Some of what they bought down here, okay? They're selling it to you and you're panic buying, and then it dips and you get scared and you sell, okay? You can tell me right now that you're not going to, but unless you have the risk reward potential there and you understand what your risk is, why the hell would you want to get in way up here? Okay? You had all this opportunity and now this thing just yeeted higher, right? You need to wait for a pullback. Now, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, trade, you can do whatever the hell you want. But what I'm saying is, why the hell, if you're not in it here, why the hell aren't you in a swing trade from back here, right? So now we're extended. We're extended on a lot of things, guys. That's why you don't see me, you know, taking a lot of swing trades, but a lot of more day trades, right? Intraday setups, quick setups, things where I can get in and out because I feel like I missed my move on a lot of moves other than, you know, Netflix, which I'm still holding, which is going to be one of my biggest wins if it continues at this rate. But yeah, Bitcoin is really, really rocking, you know, and if you wanted to be a part of Bitcoin, we talked about MSTR today. MSTR was absolutely beautiful. If you looked at this thing on the intraday time frame, you know, you could see there was multiple areas where you could play it. There was a breakout higher off of this. That's the first thing I played. Then there was a breakdown off of that that created a beautiful trend that continued down. I think I only made like $100 playing MSTR because I actually took a small loss at first. But Bitcoin's looking really, really good here. Dow Jones Industrials still beasting it to the north side. And let's take a look at a few of our Mag 7 stocks. So NVIDIA looks like it's trailing sideways. You couldn't ask for much more, especially when the earnings is coming out on the 20th. Okay. Now they're expected, you know, if you guys don't know, NVIDIA you want to see a leader, you want to see what the financials are supposed to look like on a leader, you look at NVIDIA. So we can just bring that up for you really quick so you have an understanding. Just go here, we go here, we click on financials. Oops. We go to financials and you can see right here on the earnings, the revenue. See how this forecast just continually and gradually is going up? I mean, that is just beautiful. That's what you want to see. I mean, it's picture perfect, right? It almost looks made up, but I mean, this is literally what they're forecasting, and that's why this company has just completely went parabolic in a joking sense. This thing went up very, very fast though. Okay. Next up is Tesla. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Tesla. There's a lot going on for Tesla. My biggest thing is if Elon Musk is getting nominated for all this stuff, how much time has he got left for the companies that he's running, right? If he's doing his duty for America with DOGE, the defense, or no, help me out, guys. What does DOGE stand for? Department of Government Efficiency. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, if this actually goes through, this would be like a sci-fi movie when like the world completely turns around and turns into some form of utopia because Papa Musk comes through and and we all become united to get to Mars and it's a new space race. The golden ages are here. All right, I'm getting a little carried away. And then we'll go over Netflix. I've been going over Netflix multiple times with you guys. I've already sold half of this position. Look at this. I'm going to maximize this because I posted today. I said, I wish trading could be this easy. If trading could be this easy, I mean, we would all be millionaires, right? But if I could just be patient and only take these trades, and Jolene, sweet Jolene says, oh, she always just says, is it a 5-star trade? Is it a 5-star trade? This right here on a technical basis is a 5-star trade. It's a slower ADR, but at the time there wasn't any other trades happening, and the overall S&P 500 was bouncing off its 50-day moving average. So technically, I was still risk off, but I decided to take a small bid on this play because the risk reward was there, and it was, to me, it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it because if the overall S&P 500 bounces off that 50-day moving average like I know it, I have seen it do, then I'm going to get an early opportunity rather than taking a base breakout after knowing the market would be above a 21-day moving average at a later time. I decided to take a trend breakout using that low of day, which in turn has given me 8R and now 19R on this last half. And this I locked in about $800, I think, here. But this last half, I'm up $1,700 on, guys, in just 25 shares. Now, granted, that's a lot of capital being concentrated in one area. Again, at the time, I was risk off, so I had capital to be able to put towards this instead of using the 2x bull. I went with Netflix. I just went with the actual Netflix, and I actually paid for the Netflix shares, and I'm okay with that. I told myself if I wanted to free up some capital, then I can sell some of it. But I like how liquid it was, and that I had enough capital to concentrate, so that 2% ADR actually showed fruitful. Excuse me. Next up is Amazon. As we've seen earlier, it's doing very, very well. Amazon is just rocketing to the north side. It's really nice to see after Amazon has been in this trading funk for such a long time. Now it's finally breaking out. That's really, really good for this overall market since it's a big boat. Also, Google finally pushed back up above this 200-day moving average and held it well. So that's great for Google. And Meta is kind of just trailing sideways, but it's been a leader for quite some time. So it's still digesting. But 600 is the new psychological area on Meta. So that's all we have on our overall indices, our ETFs, and our main Mag 7 stocks. Do you guys have anything in specific to the broader market that we want to look up or talk about before I carry on to a subject on retests? We can talk about anything at all.
Define liquid.
Liquid? Sure. So liquid to me is when you don't have a big spread and it's easy to get in and out. So liquid means that there is a market. And it's not, if I hit buy market, I might get 30 cents higher or 30 cents lower where I thought the price was at. So if I hit buy bid, it'll be within a penny of where that price is. That's really liquid, you know. So if you look at this up here, the bid up here right now, because it's in the after hours now that it's closed as well. But to use this as an example, the bid is 579.68 and the ask is 98. So that's a 30-cent difference there. A very liquid stock is going to be down to the penny. Now, because this is such a big boat, it's okay for it to have, a few pennies missing in between that spread there, just because, it is such a heavily weighted stock. There's so many shares. But when you're looking at these small cap stocks, you don't want such a range. For example, today I took MNPR. MNPR was not liquid. I seen some liquidity start to come in. I kept a very, very close eye on this because when it finally did start to get to that breakout area, it did show volume. And then when it held that area, it did show volume again. But where I took it, I did not like the spread. There was a 40-cent spread. I just really believed in this technical pattern. I really, really liked it. So I decided to get in because there was volume and the ADR covers me. This is only like 8%. The ADR on this is 51%. So it was going to tell me, yes, I'm wrong or yes, I'm right. And right now it's telling me, yes, I am correct. This base breakout holding that 10-day moving average is breaking out and I can risk using that low of day, which I have done. All right. And it looks like I need to reset that actually. So let me just go ahead and do this and reset this at low of day. So I'm just risking this low of day here, and then I can replace this stop order with a good till close. So that way we don't have to worry about setting that stop. So yeah, that little gap there, I have 400 shares. It's quite a few, but I really like the look of this. I don't like that it's a therapeutic stock, but we'll see if it wants to continue to break out or if it wants to come back and retest this breakout area right here, guys. So this is the base breakout area. I'll just show it to you. Here's the base breakout area. Sometimes these stocks like to push up, then come back, retest that breakout area, and then take off. So we'll see if it wants to do that on this, but I just want to show you a few examples. And one of the main examples I wanted to show you this on was Bitcoin. And because Bitcoin is it's so relevant right now, it's being talked about. This is why I kind of want to tell you guys, about these retests. So we can see very clear and definitive lines here. You can see I drew this trend. This is what I consider to be a channel, right? Because it's trading within a channel. It hasn't created necessarily a flag or a base. It's created this channel that it's traded in. And we talked about it multiple times. And then we also talked about these new higher lows right here. Very obvious, new higher lows right here, and right here. And then we also pointed out the breakout right here. And you're going to say, Dave, well, why the hell didn't you take everything that you're going to tell us right now? Why didn't you take a trade? Well, I'm going to tell you guys straight up, this is all hindsight. During the whole time I'm telling you this, I'm not building conviction over this, okay? Now that I've seen the move, yeah, I'm building conviction. But when we were coming back and seeing this retest, folks, you see this retest here? I seen the retest. I seen the gap up. Okay? I seen this gap up. I still did not gain the conviction necessary to take the trade. I just didn't. So that I want to bring up right now. These are the hardest trades to take. And sometimes the hardest trades to take can wind up being some of the best trades you've ever taken. So I was looking for a few examples and I figured, why go through a bunch of examples when this is the perfect example? You're going to find this all across the board, guys. I could show you this all the time. you're going to find a long trend or a long base, and you're going to see it break out, and then it's going to look weak. It's going to come back, retest, and then it's going to take off again. It happens all the time, and it's happened right here on Bitcoin on these new higher lows. That's what I love about 3 new higher lows as well, is because it coincides with this specific breakout. It coincides with the pullback and the retest. So I figured, why scour the market when you have a perfect example right here? So what could we do with this? Well, after we see something channeling like this, we just draw our lines. So when did I draw these lines? I think the first time I drew this top line was right here. And I just pulled it down. And once it came all the way down and it came back up, I just pulled the line, and it was following it this whole time, you know. And look at this. Now this time it comes down, it holds. It goes up, it comes down, it holds. That's 3 new higher lows, then the breakout, then the retest, and then the real fun got started with Bitcoin. And now everybody's talking about it again, and it's relevant. Isn't that grand and fun? Today, if we, yes, please.
So would you, laying aside your conviction and laying aside that this is Bitcoin, would you want to take this on that retest, or when it broke the dotted line base? I would really call that the channel, but the dotted line there.
Yes.
Yes. Would you want to take it when it broke that dotted line,
Dude,
or
that's
when
so,
it retested?
that's the art in it. Okay. So now you guys know that I have a trend and base breakout strategy that I have what I would like to consider all the answers to, right? Because it's my strategy and it's what I have taken from everybody that I've learned from, and it's mine. So you can't tell me I'm wrong. But when it comes to this, or it comes to playing my strategy your way, I can't argue with you. So what you just said was pretty cool, because I didn't even think about that. The whole time I'm telling you about this, Dan Bob, that is a whole new trade in itself. To answer your question, yes, I would have played the trend breakout and probably taken off a piece here and then stopped out here, and then it would have taken off without me, right? This trade right here, you're playing kind of like a cup with handle and then the base breakout of that. So I like your trade, right? Because you got in this trade and it never looked back. Now, where are you risking on this trade here? Are you going to risk the low of that day? That's a tough one. You know what I mean? Now, of course, we're not taking Bitcoin as our asset. We're taking an equity to trade this Bitcoin. So your risk reward is going to be different. Your average daily range is going to be different. But just for the example, obviously, your eyes fixed on this dotted line where I didn't even bring that up. This here is doing a nice pullback and a retest. Like I said, this is the hardest time to buy right here, you know? So this is what I'm focused on. I'm focused on buying this breakout right here. Or if I miss the breakout, waiting patiently for a retest. Because one of the biggest things, guys, and I'll just bring it up, like NVIDIA at that 500 right here, or I'm sorry, this right here, the best breakouts don't retest, okay? Now, Bitcoin might prove me wrong on what I've just said there, but everything that I have read and everything that I have seen, the biggest, the longest, the best pushes, they don't come back and retest. They just yeet skeetily do. They just head right to the north side. This base breakout here, once it finally got through, I remember buying it right here at 500. Right here at 500. This thing went from 500 to like, what was it? I want to say like 510, like within, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. It's so fast. There is no retesting. There is no looking back. So some of the best do not retest. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, so NVIDIA took off. See, another one here. Here's a trend break, but it never retested, you see. So another one here. Here's a base breakout. It never retested. So I would want to take my base breakout. excuse me, or a trend breakout, but this doesn't fit my strategy. This does. This does fit my strategy. But this one doesn't. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So yeah, that about covers it. We can, I think, let's see. I see one more that we can bring up right here on. Okay, so it was this one here. So we had a huge push up higher, and we retested it, and it was this day here. So if you guys see, we have a big area. This, and why do I have it marked out? Well, because it's touched 1, 2, 3. It broke above it, broke back down, touched again 4, touched again here 5. So it was a huge psychological or a huge technical area. And when this thing took off, just ripped up on volume, it actually came back and retested that same breakout area that it broke out from. So it's very interesting to see that. And the same thing could very well happen here. We have a huge gap. Big breakout area. It might want to come back and retest 225 or retest that breakout area that it broke out from, that 219. So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Of course, I don't want that to happen. Of course, I want to see the market continue to fly higher. Bulls on a run, but that could very easily happen. So do you guys have any questions about retests? I love a good retest, guys, but it is the hardest thing to buy. It really is the hardest thing to buy. Because it's just harder to buy on a pullback. And that's one of the things that I've been really trying to work on is, you see the base breakout, you get excited, you see the volume. It's hard to wait for those pullbacks. It is. It's hard to, you just want to smack that buy market instead of buying bid. And then you start to see it take off without you. And you're like, no, this is my trade. And I've had so many run without me. So it is very hard. But those
My concern with, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
My concern with pullback, or not pullback, is a pullback, but retesting is you don't really see the volume when it takes off again. So that always confuses me whether I should get in or not.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. So it's cool that I'm sorry, I was actually going to bring up watching it at the retest area, because if you see it gets to that retest area and it just tanks, right? You see a bunch of volume come in, you don't have to worry about it. But all of a sudden you start to see a little bit of volume come in. You start to see some wicks start to come in. The previous day you start to see some wicking. The next day it starts to break above that previous day's high. That is a play. That's something that you can look at. So if you agree with yourself, like this is the breakout area, this is a retest area, well, it's wicked the retest and now it's broken above that previous day. You get in at the high of that day using previous day as your stop. Now, this is hindsight, guys. This is hindsight. Of course, I just made a perfect trade here, but I wanted to give you a perfect retest example so you at least have an idea and an understanding. When people say a pullback or a retest, that's exactly what they're talking about. So this is the breakout. Here's the pullback and the retest. Yes, it is hard to see that volume sometimes here because, it's just an active buyer. It's somebody that's trying to slow it down and get it turned back around, I watched this really cool thing on Bitcoin last night with Graham Stephan. Go ahead and take a look at that. Look that up. Very cool little insight about Bitcoin. And Graham Stephan's the man. He's good with money too. So, but yeah, guys, that's about what I think I'm gonna close with that. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or any tickers that we might want to take a little peeky gander at before I take off? We got a few more minutes to kill if you'd like.
Let's talk about the TMQ that Stackalope brought up.
Okay, yeah. So this was brought up by Stackalope in our Discord meeting. Stackalope, I apologize, dude, because I thought you were, well, I thought you were bringing up a certain strategy, the TMQ strategy, and I was completely wrong. It was a ticker. Noob mistake on my end. But we have TMQ. So I don't know anything about TMQs, but I can guess it's obviously minerals because metal is in its name. And we can see that we've had some, excuse me, some metals start to set up here, and you can see that 10-day moving average is starting to catch up. I really like these tight areas. I really like the way these start to form. So let's take a look at TMQ. I can see the volume a little bit better on this one right now. We can bring this up, but you can see, look at that volume dry up. You get a big push up here, huge volume dry up. The question is, because the only thing I want to see on these is, if you're going to get a big push up on volume, we want to see some action. We don't want to see this thing play out and get tighter and tighter and tighter and then not do anything. We've seen many stocks do that, and it just sucks because you're waiting for the breakout forever. There's so many fake breakouts, and it just kind of like, it loses your interest, or you lose money on it, so you want to lose interest, right? So this is one of those where it looks really, really good. It's starting to get really, really tight, and we're waiting for a 10 and 21-day moving average to catch up. Is it going to actually catch up, or is it going to take off without us? We're just above $1 right now. Okay, just above $1. It almost makes me question if they almost got delisted and they're just doing.
They have not. I looked it up already.
They weren't threatened to get delisted.
They were not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So, guys, sometimes what'll happen is NASDAQ will threaten to delist them, meaning they won't sell their stocks on NASDAQ if they're below $1. So that's why you see a lot of stock splits, and that's why you see, guys, a lot of people hiring market makers to rip that thing to the north side to try and keep their piece of shit stock afloat. So I'm not going to run through the news or the catalysts on this, but as of right now, just on a technical basis, we got a 13% ADR. It's getting tight, and we're starting to see volume dry up. So that's a really good sign. Obviously, if this thing wants to start taking off, I want to be notified. I got my alert set at $1.05, and if this thing wants to show a nice brick of volume in that 5-minute time frame, I would like to be a part of it. So thanks Stockalope. I appreciate you bringing that up. Stockalope, do they have options on this? You got your ears on, brother? Do they have an option? Are they selling options on this yet? Let's see. I think, yeah, they have some options.
No, I don't believe they would have options, and if they did, I probably wouldn't be interested in those anyway. It's
No.
low enough priced.
Okay, I got you. Thank you, sir. Any other
concern about the large wick? A lot got sold off when it pushed up.
Yeah, this one here.
Is that any concern?
Well, I mean, it depends on what concerns you. So if we're gapping up and we're gapping up 108%, but it holds 65% of that gap up, what's more concerning to me is if on this first day it gives back more than half. So let's say that wick came all the way down and this thing was sitting around 93, and it sold off half or more than half of its actual push. That's when I start to get concerned. But when you move up 100% and you pull back 40%, it's kind of understandable, right? There's people taking profits that got in from down here, people waking up that invested in this company, 2 years ago, and they're break even, so they're selling. You know what I mean? So what's more concerning is probably the fact that it's probably a shit stock. So when it comes to the technical analysis, I would say because it held more than half of its gains, this does not concern me so much. No. This doesn't. The wick doesn't concern me here. Not on this first day. No, I don't think so.
I was more impressed with them than I thought I would be. I'm not a big guy for mining companies because a lot of them are crap.
Yeah.
But I did some research on them when Stockalope pointed them out earlier.
Okay.
And they're sort of a real thing. I mean, they are what they are, but the company seems to be trying to do things
Okay.
properly. And it's a gold, so the reason it's pushing up right now is because gold's pushing up, right?
Yeah. Well, the issue with this company is they haven't shown profitability on their earnings per share since 2020. And since then they've been underperforming. So they don't have anything going for them. They don't have any proof of concept, in my opinion. Of course, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't look at these things and like with a magnifying glass. I see these little dots here, and it shows me earnings. Oh, they're not making any stinking money. So it's almost like, how is my dollar going to be put to work so it's worth more at a future if they still can't make money after 4 years? So I personally don't believe in TMQ, but the technical analysis is showing that it's very fruitful. This is definitely a stock in play, and we definitely can keep our eyes on it for sure. But yeah, no, I don't care for the stock. Do we have any other tickers? I know that Rocket Lab RKLB. I know you guys were talking about that. That thing really took off. Gave back some of its gains, but it's nice to see Rocket Lab doing its thing. And for anybody in this Discord that held through all of that, because I know Rocket Lab was a big one in here, which it should be. I mean, we've seen trend breaks after base breaks after trend breaks after base breaks. I mean, this Discord's really pinnacle. We even have a cup and handle here, guys. I mean, this thing had it all. It's everything that we really learn about in here. I didn't play this one time, and I watched you guys just beat the dog crap out of making money out of this thing. Congratulations to everybody in the Discord that did. Now you've gapped up. Did you take a little profit? Are you going to hold on to another piece? The earnings came out. We have a surprise on the revenue, but they did not surprise on their earnings. So we'll see if that wants to have some continuation or not. But that's Rocket Lab. I know you guys love that Rocket Lab. And let me just see. Oh, LAC stopped me out today too. It's probably going to hold and continue higher, but it is what it is. And WGS, just keep an eye on WGS. It's starting to get a little too wide for me right here. It's a little too choppy, but that's about all I got. You guys got anything for me? Anything at all?
You seem like you don't use the 2x leverage option a lot. Is there any other reason other than the obvious you have money to buy the real thing, or what's your take on all that?
That is a really good question. So if I'll just tell you, when I open up on my stock charts and I open up to the 5-minute time frame, and I look at this chart right here. When I look at this, I look at this and I say, this is a liquid chart. You can see there's not a lot of gaps. You can see that there's a lot of trading action. It's following a price. It looks clean, right? Just clean movement. If we come over to, is it NFXL, is it? Right? Yeah, this is Netflix Bull. You see this? I just don't like this. I feel like I'm going to get trapped in this piece of shit. So if we look at NFXL, this is a 2x ETF. So if you're bullish on Netflix, why wouldn't you go in a 2x bullish ETF? And I would, because it moves twice as fast, and I probably would have made twice the amount of money by now. But when I open this up and I look at it on the 5-minute, I just can't play this shit. I can't, man. And it might be hurting me more than anything, because I mean, look at this, guys. It's the same thing, right? And if I'm playing it on the daily, what does this matter? But when I look at this, is the only reason why. This is the only excuse I have, is to not playing NFXL, right? I bought just straight up NVIDIA because I didn't want to be in a stock that looked like this, even though I know it moves with NVIDIA. So it might sound silly, but I need that right texture. I don't like this crunchy texture, right? I like a nice smooth and flicks. I like a smooth peanut butter, you know? So it's about that's I hope that answers it. It's probably not a good enough answer, but that's my answer for you. All right. Well, guys, root for me. This is I got a little over 1 hour on this stock, and I'm really hoping this thing will take off for me. I consider this a 5-star setup. This is what I took today. The news isn't that great. The financials are dog shit, but MNPR, this technical analysis to me is a 5-star. Absolutely love it. Huge push up on volume, a big pullback. It gets really, really, really tight, and it's now starting to break out. Shout out to, I think it was Mo Wealth who pointed this out to me originally, and then I kind of took it over as my own and broadcasting it. If this thing does break down, I'll take a $400 loss. Not too, it's not something that I want to go through. But what I'll say is this. When I see a good trade like this, I told myself I need to take it and I need to run with it. And I really like the way this looks. I like the volume dry up on this. I like how tight it's gotten. I like the base breakout. I like that I got in it with a great average daily range. So keep it on the watch list for me. So if you see it take off, root for me. If you see it break down below this day's low, don't even talk to me about it. Leave me alone, okay? I'm okay. I'll be fine. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little insight what's going on. But yeah, I think we'll call that quits, guys, unless you guys got anything for me. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Of course, as I put it in the Discord, it's all of my streams. If you click that button, you'll leave it play in the background. You hear everything that I was talking about. It's got a lot of what you already know and heard. It'll get sunken into you nice and deep, and it helps my watch time hours. I'm very, very close to getting that 3,000 watch time hours in a year, and it would really help me out a lot. So click that play button in the Discord and let that run all night, all week. Actually, I think there's enough on there to actually last like a whole week. But anyway, thanks, guys. I hope you have a good night. Peace.